you. The next question, the member for Waterloo.
Thank you very much. My question is for the Premier. In the last few days, I've heard from education workers who've expressed disappointment. They've expressed fear over the government's attack on their rights with the introduction of Bill 28. I heard from one constituent, Angela. She's an educational assistant. She's 60 years old. She works 3 jobs, and she can barely make ends meet. I want the Premier to know that parents support Angela, and they also are shocked at how little money she actually makes in her job. This Premier thinks that Angela and her colleagues should lose their right to collective bargaining and continue struggling to support themselves and their families. This Premier also feels they should be content with a minimal increase that doesn't recognize historic inequities. This Premier also gave 88% of his caucus a 13-plus pay increase with a stipend increase. Mr. Speaker, will the government just admit that instead of being for the people, they're really just here for themselves?
Education.
Mr. Speaker, we are for the students, which is why we brought forth a bill that ensures they're in class on Friday. And I would urge the member opposite to stand with the government in opposition to a strike that hurts every single constituent in our economy, in our society, and in all of our ridings. We have an obligation to these kids. What more do they have to be through until a responsible government, according to the NDP, actually stands up for their rights to learn? We need to ensure these kids have stability, continuity. 1 million parents depend on us today to get the job done, and to the families who are urging the government to use every tool available to provide stability, they should be assured we will move forward with legislation. It is our intent to provide stability for the people we represent, Speaker.
Supplementary question, member for Waterloo.
Mr. Speaker, it'll be a cold day in hell when we vote for a piece of legislation that tramples charter rights and human rights. If this Premier continues to drive education workers away from Ontario permanently, our kids will pay the price. We are actually seeing this happen in the healthcare sector. In the 2021 Economic Outlook and Fiscal Review, the Minister of Finance said, and I quote, "For too long, the workers of our province have been taken for granted. Take-home pay for many workers has not kept up with rising costs." He said this, and continued by saying, "During the pandemic, the workers of Ontario had our back, and our government needs to have theirs." Well, these statements clearly need to be called into question, especially given Bill 28. The government also, and this is worth noting, this government has the money to respect workers in the education system by paying them fairly. You have the money. So why is it that the government said all the right things to workers just ahead of the election, but post-election they've forgotten all of their principles, all of their morals, and all of your promises?
Minister of Education.
Mr. Speaker, the irony of the moral indignation of the NDP. This is a party in 1993 social contract actually legislated away 12 days of work, also known as the Ray Days. We'll take no lessons from the NDP in any way on this issue. Mr. Speaker, that's your record. The members seem to find it comical, not parents who are scrambling to find childcare today. You have a choice. Vote for this bill, stand with families, and ensure kids are in the classroom tomorrow, Speaker.